This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Now, here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum, Tanya Lead, Mike Basil, and Robbie Jabor.
Welcome to IA Forward, and welcome to Shane's favorite week of the year. It is Christmas week. Hope you guys are ready for an incredible holiday celebration with your families and with people that you love.
I'm 6 weeks in to Christmas week. I don't know what you're talking about, but like Christmas week's been going on for 6 weeks here.
It's really easy to love Christmas when your entire shopping experience is hitting up the gift card tree at the local supermarket.
So I one-upped it. It actually got better this year. So a little update. My incredible, lovely bride of 30 years, I can officially say that now. She did an Amazon Christmas list. So it was click, click, click. Nah, not that. Click, click, click. Shipping address, correct credit card, done. Check, done. So yeah, I know. Everybody on listening to this podcast is going to be like, oh my God, he's terrible. But I clicked with a lot of thought in mind. I really did. And she gave me a huge list. So I did have to narrow the list down because we only do stockings for each other. So if that helps, I don't know. I'm digging a hole. It's not helping.
Well, we both do Amazon lists. Well, first of all, because Daniel always wants fishing stuff. And, you know, my idea of shopping for fishing items is I really want it to be purple. I don't care. So he's really specific with fishing stuff. So he just sends me a list of all the things that he needs. And then when people ask me, what does Daniel want for Christmas? I can say, these are the fishing items that he wants. And then I do a list for the same reason. So if somebody asks, hey, you know, so anyway, we do the same thing, but slightly different way.
Well,
Mike,
I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Is Mike soloing today as our permanent guest? Robbie's not with us. And I mean, he made it for 2 episodes. So, I mean, I know it's Christmas time, but it's like, does the world think that we fired Robbie from the podcast after 2 episodes of the what do we call it? The Quad Squad now?
The Quad Squad. Yeah. Why not?
So now we're the triple threat today.
No, it's just he's out Christmas shopping because he doesn't do his on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yes, we do the Amazon. We do purchase things on Amazon, but there's no lists. You guys are cheaters.
Oh, you got to go do it on your own. Like you, no.
No.
Can't. No.
I always do surprises too for the cute boy. Like I pick up things throughout the year and I always kind of like he'll mention something random and I have this whole list that I keep up with throughout the year. And then he's always shocked. He's like, oh my gosh, I mentioned that back in March. And I'm like, I know, I wrote it down. So
that's impressive. Writing it down like that is impressive. I've thought about doing that. Then I forgot.
And that's as far as it went, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the beautiful things about being a girl dad is it's like having 2 little Christmas elves in your employment. And they say, hey, Dad, Mom said this, or hey, Dad, have you thought about getting Mom this? And so it's incredible. So there is one surprise gift this year that's not on her Amazon list that I think she's going to be ecstatic about. So we'll see.
Is there like an age where that started? Because I'm going to tell you, I tried that with my 16-year-old and she asked me to leave her room.
I've always done that for my mom. And that was actually when Shane was telling that story. I was thinking this is really the first Christmas that I haven't had my dad asking me that, right? Like last year, he passed away right before the Christmas season. So we'd already had those conversations.
Yeah.
And so this is the first Christmas since I was probably 12, maybe, that I haven't been the elf for Dad. So
No. I'm glad I could bring up that sadness to you today on the podcast. So thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
no, but
Great
those are really
conversation.
great memories though, right? So those are
good
great
memories,
memories
right?
with my dad. So yeah, Mike, there's something going on at your house.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Southern thing.
Get out of my room. You got to work on that. Hey, I need some help here. I really need you to help me. No, I mean, mine are out of the house. So I think it's out of pity. I really think it's out of pity for Dad. Like, he needs help. So we've got to help him. We've got to step up. Mom deserves a better Christmas than what she's going to get if we leave Dad alone. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Right. Because it's going to be gift cards.
With it being Christmas week, so many agents are not in the office as much. It's a great time as a business owner or as someone that's thinking about becoming a business owner to really start thinking about 2026. And for us, historically, that has been trying to figure out what our word of the year is. Words have so much power, and figuring out what you need in your life for the next year, what you want to have change, what you want your focus to be.
I want more Buddy the Elf in my life. That's why I think Mike has the Buddy the Elf t-shirt on today. I hadn't commented on that yet, so I thought that take that opportunity to say that before I got into my word of the year. I don't know. It's pretty glamorous there, Mike. Great job.
They're showing Elf at the Blue Wahoo Stadium on Friday night here. So they're doing the movie, and they had this big Christmas light walk thing all throughout our minor league ballpark. Who wins, ballpark of the year every year. And yeah, so they're showing Elf.
Cool.
I thought about you that you'd like to come do batting practice and watch the movie at the same time.
For sure. We've got actually It's a Wonderful Life going on in our local downtown theater here. Pretty excited about that. So that's pretty cool.
They're doing that here too. Our tickets are for Thursday.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's cool. So I went with a phrase of the year this year, which is different for me. I've had word of the year for several years now. And so my phrase, drum roll please, is embrace chaos. And it's really just thinking about the last couple of years and the industry and what's happened. And I've talked to some different people about, why did I go with this phrase? And really it comes down to this realization that when I go back and look, learning from our past, kind of learning through our struggles, the cycles where we went through a struggle, every time that we entered a phase of what I would call chaos, obviously unintentionally, we ended up coming out of that phase stronger, improving ourselves. Our business was better. We grew personally. I mean, really, there was, other than wow, that was rough. Other than that side of it, it's always ended into this better place. And, I thought about for a few months, like, what should my word be? And I landed here because of the cycle that I feel like we're coming out of over the last few years in the P&C industry, of this hard market, really the hardest market that I've experienced in my tenure. And when I talk to people who are, retired, who've been retired for 10 years, and I talk to them about a couple of guys that I've talked to that, have been out of the industry and kind of dealt with it as a consumer and kind of keeping up with what's happened over the last 2-3 years, they've said, it feels like it's harder than any cycle they had been through. And so a lot of people have said, this is as hard as they've ever seen it. This is as tough as they've ever seen it. And so, coming out of that level of chaos is something that made me think about this, right? It's just like, hey, that resonated with me. And what's really, really funny, ironic, and maybe something we ought to pay attention to is just how well 2026 and 2027 are shaping up, not only for the industry, but like our organization. It looks really good. Now, we can't predict the future, but things are just trending really, really well. And there's always this opportunity coming out of chaos to improve the organization, improve ourselves. And so that's mine. Embrace chaos is my phrase for the year.
I think for me, I love that one, by the way, but for me, just in terms of, changing roles here within Integra and doing a little bit more on a sales side, I also went with a phrase, but it's just improving deficiencies. It's so easy to just continue doing the things you do well, just keep going and doing the things you do well most often, but that's not how you improve. So, we like our sports analogies here. If you're a hitter and you hit fastballs really well, going in the cage and having people just spam you fastballs the entire session is not going to improve you. You've got to have people throwing you those changeups and those curves. Well, it's the same thing. Like, I know there's things that I can improve on in terms of my processes, and everybody out there, I'm sure, has the same things where I really could be a little bit better at this one particular thing. It's really just being mindful of that, accepting that there's that thing you need to be better at, and then really getting after it and making that a strength of yours in this upcoming year instead of a deficiency.
Nice. Like it.
My word of the year last year was serenity. And I think that the universe took that as a challenge to throw everything at me to see if I could have that and be successful at it. And so this year I wanted a word that did not challenge the universe, that I could just kind of take with me. And it is rhythm. And as a dancer, that's one of those things you can't rush. You can't rush rhythm. You can't muscle your way through it. When you're off rhythm, everybody feels it. Your partner feels it. You can see it. And this year and the last few years, actually, with this hard market, I just kind of felt like we were trying to move faster and fix things. And sometimes we weren't as intentional because we were playing defense, right? We couldn't play offense because we were playing defense. And we know that defense is what wins championships, right? So if you're still here, you've won. But that's not sustainable long term, right? So rhythm to me is creating a cadence that's sustainable. It's building systems that carry the load. And we can't all be at full tempo for forever, right? As a dancer, that exhausts you. And it does the same thing as a business owner. So figuring out what your rhythm needs to be. Sometimes there's time when that rhythm slows down. Sometimes that rhythm speeds up, but making sure that the movement stays smooth and that it strengthens you. So you're not, so basically that you're being able to lead with intention and figure out what rhythm works best for you throughout the good times, the bad times. Shane talks about staying on an even keel. And I would love to be that person. And I've tried to be that person, but that's not who I am. And there are times that I get really excited and there's times that I get nervous and all of those things. And that's part of the rhythm that makes me me. So that's my word for 2026 is rhythm.
That's good. I love rhythm as well. And I think those are really good. And, you know, it's funny that you've picked rhythm. I've been thinking about using the phrase in my head. I haven't actually said it to anybody, except for, you know, the conversations that I have with myself, which is often as I get older. I don't know if that's something, you know, that's coming that we all need to be aware of about me. But, you know, I've been thinking about rhythm in a lot of things, like rhythm in my calendar, and just also I've heard some conversations around that word and that mindset. Kind of the next phase of work-life balance is rhythm, right? Like finding rhythm in our work, and how we balance just work and family. And I think that's probably better than the phrase work-life balance is like a work-life rhythm, right? Because I'm not really sure that you can be successful in today's society without having some, grind and energy and just getting after it and putting your head down and going to work. I'm not sure if it's possible. And we have this society that's, obviously that celebrates achievement, right? This achievement society. And so finding rhythm in that, I think, is really important. And so I think that's really cool. It's great. That's the first time I've heard either one of you guys talk about that, whether phrase or your word. I think rhythm is a really good place to be coming out of a hard market cycle too. Is, you know, yeah, I'm the even kill guy. And I actually interpret that as a rhythm kind of feel. I think about when you said that, the first thing that went into my brain is like basketball, right? To come back to a sport that we maybe don't talk about a lot around here, or maybe on this podcast. Are you guys basketball fans? No.
No, I do not like basketball in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Okay. All right. Well, you're just going to hear me out anyway. Because I said so. And so, you know, basketball, I've always been an admirer of basketball players as athletes, because if you play basketball on full throttle, so what was the dance? What was the word you used earlier about, you can't go at top speed the whole time.
Full tempo.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, you know, if you think about basketball, I always think about this. Emma's freshman year, my youngest daughter's freshman year, she was still playing basketball. And the coach, her and another girl, were really quick and really good athletes. And the coach, I love the way the coach played. And the coach wanted them to play like organized chaos, to bring that back into focus here. And it really was like an organized chaos type of environment. Like he wanted to full court press on defense the entire time. Like that's just what he did. And it was just up and down the court. And it was perfect for the girls that he was coaching. That group of girls was really athletic and really good at that. And they had been blowing people out, and they come up against their first real competition about 8 or 9 games into the season. And in this particular case, it was another really good team, and that team had a deeper bench. And so we rotated, we played about 7 girls, like 5 starters plus 2 coming off the bench. Whereas this other team was playing a full 10, and they weren't falling off much when they went from their first 5 to their second 5. And our girls are pressing. We built like a 15, 16 point lead. And then somewhere about halfway through the fourth quarter, our girls just ran out of gas. Like they were just nonstop the entire game. We lost. We ended up losing, gave up the lead ended up losing. And it was a lesson about rhythm. It was a lesson about you can't run full throttle like all the time. Like you have to, basketball especially, like basketball is a sport. It's about, it's almost like being a little bit sly, right? Like you don't want to be running full speed. You want to be able to be kind of at a pause and then make a break and get yourself open under the basket. And so just things like that. And I think about the rhythm concept, and I think about basketball, and it's the same thing. Like we've gotten into this thing with baseball now, like just a lot of different pieces here that go with not only sports analogy, but also how we work and how we live our life.
It goes back to the thought that if everything is urgent, nothing is intentional. And we read a book earlier this year, and we read several books this year, so you're going to have to tell me which one it was, that talked about you had one priority. Like the meaning of the word priority historically is singular, right? And we have turned into everything being a priority. Which book was that?
Essentialism.
Okay, that's James Clear.
Yeah, don't maybe lie.
Anyway, so essentialism, and I am 8 books short of my 100 books this year. So I have got to figure out how to read 8 books in the next 2 weeks, and I haven't figured out if it's even possible, but I've got to figure it out.
Well, Mike,
anyway,
on an audio book, right? I mean,
but this idea of rhythm, and it's, to me, it's kind of stop being so reactionary, doing what's intentional, and going through what I've been through in the last year. People would ask the cute boy, and they would say, well, how is Tanya doing? And he would say, well, she is surviving. And I am finally moving back out of survival mode into thriving mode, which is where I like to be. But I think that's where so many of our agencies are or have been over the last 2.5 years. We have been in survival mode. And sometimes when you stay in that survival mode, it takes something intentional to move back to thriving.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's interesting. So you guys went in one direction with it, and the first thing that popped into my head was a slightly different direction. I, like Tanya, definitely am a high and low guy. Like Shane's always right here in the middle. I'm up here some days, I'm down here some days. Like that's just the way it is. But I think it's important, especially when you're doing something sales-based, which most agents are doing some measure of sales. If you're a solopreneur, of course, all of it is you. It's important to keep that rhythm or even keel throughout the highs and lows of your sales process. You're going to hit on some big accounts, and you're going to not get some of them, and you're going to ride that wave, but it's exhausting to ride that wave. So if you can kind of work your way through not having the peaks and valleys be so high, right? Take those peaks and bring them down 2 notches, bring those valleys up 2 notches, and just try to stay a little closer to the median. It's a lot easier to function emotionally, and you're not as exhausted at the end of the day by riding that wave.
Yeah, I think that's right. And what was yours again? Deficient. What's the phrase?
I don't remember.
You don't remember your phrase of the year? You've already forgot it. You've already moved on.
Improve on deficiency.
Improve on deficiency. Yeah. So, the first thing that I thought of like just now is when you say that, because agents have been in survival mode, which is true. That's Tanya's right there. Like they've been in survival mode for a couple of years, and it's like, hey guys, I'm just trying to breathe every day. Like I'm just trying to figure out what I didn't get done. And, it's hard to say, how do I improve my deficiencies when I'm trying to survive? And I think that's the thing that you have to, I'm going to bring this back. I say this, I end up back here so many times. I'm going to tell you to get out your stop doing list. Okay. And, that's got to, it's almost as frequent as policy per customer ratio that comes out of my mouth. Stop doing list. Like, what are the things that you're doing that maybe you should not do anymore? And I think we get into this, I talk about stop doing lists all the time with people, like personal relationships, church relationships, business relationships. Like if somebody,
he does, he loves this conversation. Mike, have you had this conversation with him yet?
I have not.
No.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Now that I know you're up here and down here, now I know how to frame the stop doing list for you. It's like we think because we've done something for so long, or we've normalized sometimes we've normalized stuff that maybe we shouldn't have normalized. Like I've got to do this. Well, the question is why? Like, are you sure you have to do that? Like, do you really need to do that? That's a fair question that everybody has to ask themselves. And here's the end of the year opportunity to ask yourself that. If you feel like you're in nothing but survival mode, that you have no time to improve on deficiencies because you don't know where you're going to get time to do that. Then it becomes one of those things around, well, what am I doing that's causing this? Am I trying to remarket every single customer because every customer that calls me, I am panicking that I'm going to lose them? Because the reality of it is that hasn't necessarily been true, right? Now, agents might have thought that was true and kind of responded out of fear by saying, well, I have to remarket every one of my clients because their price is going up. Well, everybody's price was going up. So you didn't have to do that, but we've conditioned ourselves as independent agents because we have choice. We've conditioned ourselves to tell our client that, yeah, well, we can remarket you. We can do this. Well, you don't make any money as an agent by rewriting accounts. It's sort of a myth, right? And so that's just kind of one of those things. Do everything you can to not have to rewrite it. So maybe the stop doing list item there is, put in some parameters that, well, unless the price increase is above X, then I'm going to convince, my customer they're in a better place right here.
Yeah, I think one important thing within that is shifting gears slightly is you need to trust your relationship with that person. And you need to cultivate that relationship prior to that conversation so that you've got a leg to stand on when you're having it. If you've been in communication with them throughout the year or throughout that 12 months, if it's a 12-month policy, and they're comfortable with you and they know you have their best interest in mind, it's a lot easier to have a conversation and you tell them that their price is going to increase a little bit, but here's why. And it's kind of just the way the market is. They're going to believe you instead of beating feet.
This is such a great week to have this conversation because Christmas is one of the few times that we're allowed to step back and take a pause and not apologize for it. Unless you were in radio, and then that's a whole nother story. But in our business, it's really okay to step back this week, take a little time away from the agency. And as owners, it gives you some great time to think about the business as opposed to being in the business. But beyond that, it's a time to remember why you do this, right? I mean, we work so hard in our agencies And this is the week that you get to remember exactly why spending time with your family.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's a couple of different things that I always think about this time of year. One is like, man, this is awesome to be able to have this time of year and not necessarily I'm not going in and working shift work. I'm not having to be on call. Whatever, right? Whatever that comparable to some other occupation is. And it's, yeah, I know that some commercial accounts renew January 1st, and some of you guys might be in a little bit of a renewal cycle in December. It happens. But for the most part, when you compare it to society in general, the insurance industry is pretty calm these last couple of weeks of the year. And especially on the agency side, carrier reps tend to take some vacation time, and tends to, you lose a couple of meetings that you normally might have. And it's really a good time to step back, maybe not be at the office every day or be, on call every day. And, I think about, to kind of double down a little bit, thinking about thinking about it. The other thing is the new year that's coming, right? It's this excitement of fresh start. And it doesn't matter whether you've come out of a hard market cycle or a soft market cycle. Like, there's just something about, like, okay, being energetic about the new year, being energetic about what is to come. And I get really excited about that every time around this time of year, every December. I want to mention something, talking about the stop doing and talking about rhythm, and it probably could apply to Mike's phrase too. So, from the wisdom of Juju, that is my wife's aunt's name, Juju. She's Aunt Juju. So one of the things that I grabbed a hold of a couple of years ago, ironically, it was because evidently I'm a closet hoarder. So I have a lot of clothes. I don't buy my clothes. I'm transparent here, openly in the public realm. I don't buy my clothes.
That
Julie,
is shocking to so many.
I know. Julie, obviously I can't, if y'all haven't figured this out yet, I can't live without Julie. So so I have to go first. We know that. And so what happens is I don't take something out of my closet when something new comes in. And she has a rule that you have to get rid of something, right? She had a rule when our kids were little. If you got a new toy, you had to give up a toy, right? I mean, it's pretty strict stuff. And because we're not letting stuff, pile up around here. We're not going to hoard our stuff, right? And what happened is, I think she actually heard this from someone else. It was like, she would take me through the closet and like, you never wear this shirt. And I was like, no, I don't really like that color. And she's like, okay, gone. And I'm like, well, what if I need it? Right? That's the conversation that we're going. I was like, does it give you joy? This was the phrase, right? You've probably been down this path too, Tanya. Does
Marie Kondo.
Okay, so there you go. So she probably got it from, does it give you joy? I didn't know where the creator of that was. And I'm like, no, it doesn't give me joy. Like, no. And then she goes to the next shirt and I'm like, now that shirt, I love that shirt. It feels great. Like, that shirt gives me joy. So we keep it. And so I kind of learned, and I'm wanting to kind of integrate that into this rhythm conversation. Like, if something is not giving you joy and it can go on your stop doing list, then it needs to be number one on your stop doing list. Like, why are you doing it? Right. And I think there's so many agency owners who keep doing things that don't give them joy, and they think it's because they have to, right? Like, well, I don't really love commercial lines insurance, but I have to do it because everybody else is trying to get into commercial. No, you don't. You can be very successful in personal lines, or, everybody has a personal lines book and I love commercial. So I guess I got to do a little bit of personal lines too, because everybody else is doing it. Well, does personal lines give you joy? No, because if it's not going to give you joy, you're not going to be successful at it. Right. And I think that's also part of this.
There's some limits to that now. Like, I don't feel like calling these customers. I don't feel like doing payroll.
It doesn't give me joy to call those customers.
Yeah, that doesn't give you joy.
I mean, there's some things you got to do, right? I mean, come on. But there's also things you can outsource, right? Like there's also the outsourcing mechanism there.
I think one thing to piggyback off of what you were talking about earlier about the excitement of the upcoming year, it's great to be excited about what's coming and what's in the future, but it's also important to stay grounded in the spot you are currently in the day you currently are in, and finding joy in the things that you're doing in that day and in that moment. So, don't get too far ahead of yourself on anything about next year. Also focus on yourself in that day. It's probably a little easier for me to say that now that I'm getting into these older kids, 16 and 13. I know that certain things are certainly going to start changing soon. So that's top of mind for me, is like, enjoy this Christmas because the next one could be different, Absolutely. And so just stay where you are, grounded in that day, and enjoy those moments.
The work's going to be there in January. So will opportunity. Christmas just reminds us of who we're doing this for. And even if you have teenagers, one day they will get over it.
If they tell you to leave their room, leave me alone. Get out of my room. I pay for this room, Missy.
Yeah. She was very nice about it, but, I got the point.
Yeah. The message was loud and clear.
Yeah.
Speaking of messages, one of the things that does make the Integra Partner Network so special is our faith. And this is a season, of course, that's based around that. And I always love when Shane shares a little bit about that on our Christmas episode.
So you want me to preach is what you want me to do. You're putting me on the spot to preach a sermon, and I've prepared nothing. No, just kidding. Absolutely. We don't, shy away from that. And, we get so lost in the busyness and the commercialization. We've been on Amazon already on this episode, right? Like, just the reality of what we're doing in society versus really, how we even got here. And, obviously, just the birth of Christ and the celebration of that time of year is something that we think is special, and it is something that, going back to kind of looking back into who in our family, like one of our traditions that we started when my girls were really little, is every Christmas Eve I read Luke 2, and we still do it. Like our 26 and 21, like when they come home, like we still do it. And eventually, I know, to Mike's point, eventually that's going to end. Marriages are going to happen. Matter of fact, one coming up in 2026, talking about big years. But, at some point they're going to wake up on Christmas morning at their homes and with their families. And, so I take that, I think about that, and I think about, being in that moment, to Mike's point, reading scripture, opening the Bible and talking, with your family. And I know, right, the holidays, and there's so much potential issue there that comes up with strife, But it's just a time where we shouldn't have to be there, right? We should be able to sit down as family members, and we should be able to celebrate, the reason for the season. And I think that's something that is always important because, to not let go of my stop doing this theme on this podcast. If you can't slow down for a few days and rest and be with your family and reflect and, really just what is Christmas truly about? Like, understanding that the manger was probably a cave. Okay. Right. It's probably a stone cave. It wasn't what we put out in the manger scene. The wise men weren't there yet. There's all these little funny things about the manger scene and things like that. And, that we always laugh and kind of joke about, but just dig in, right? Like, it's a really great time to dig in and reflect and understand what really transpired that brought us to this point over 2,000 years later. And that's something that we always try to do here at Integra, and it's something that we encourage our families to do.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for listening to us. We love sharing our ideas with you. We hope that throughout 2025 that it has made a difference in your life. Your comments to us have certainly made a difference for all of us as well. I'm going to leave us today with this quote from endurance athlete Mark Black. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest.
Attitude to choice. Make a great one.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit. Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.